Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to another version of the RPP user group webinars. Um, 25 days until Election Day, if I've done my math right. And we thought we would take some time to show off some cool tools that we have to help people track early voting and what's going on with elections, with early vote, generally speaking, but specifically with members as well. We also wanted to talk about some of the interesting things that we've seen in some pilot cases of people doing some get out the vote projects in recent elections and planned for this year for some specific audiences. And so appreciate you all making time this afternoon for another one of these webinars. We've got some great guests here again today. First up, we've got a member of our Real Strategies data and tech team, Elizabeth Lepore, and she's going to be talking about our early vote dashboard that we recently have released now that early vote has started, and many states are now releasing early vote totals. Elizabeth's going to show off this tool that is available in the Dash instance, as well as talk a little bit about kind of early voting ballot return data and how some of that works. Then Elizabeth is going to be talking about how to track some of the early vote data related to association members in the membership dashboard. And then finally, she's going to be talking about kind of a cool new campaign data tool that we have called the map tool. Very exciting name, but a really fun new tool that we have that we want to show off that provides some really cool data about members and voters in different political geographies. Then after Elizabeth, after I turn the time over to Elizabeth, one of our colleagues, Coleman Bass, is going to be talking about some interesting pilot get out the vote campaigns that he's conducted among voters and specific consumer audiences, and some really interesting new tools in the digital space that help people who are running campaigns to track data related to who's seen ads, who saw your ads and voted or didn't vote, and some interesting tools related to that that people might be interested in. So with that, wanted to filibuster a little bit so people who maybe we're going to take a minute or two to hop on would have time to do so. But without any further ado here, I'm going to turn the time over to my colleague, Elizabeth Lepore, based in New York City, I believe. Isn't that right, Elizabeth? Very cool.
That's correct.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. Very busy time, but I think people are going to be really interested to see these tools. So we'll turn the time over to you. And just so everyone knows, there will be a question and answer period after Elizabeth is done showing off some of these tools. So you can put in questions that you might have or comments into the YouTube comments there, and we'll be able to get those questions to Elizabeth for her to answer afterwards. So with that, Elizabeth, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Justin. As Justin mentioned, I'm going to be going through some different tools that are available to you guys. And the first one we're going to do is our early vote dashboard. Basically, what you see here is as the early vote data comes in, we mix that with your member data, and then you're able to see which of your members have voted, which have requested a ballot, which have early voted, so on and so forth. So the first view we have is the whole US, but we're going to show you how to do a specific state. So what I'm going to do is go over to this button called Select a State. It's going to open up a menu. From here, for example, I'll go to Florida. I'll hit Submit. And now what I have is a specific view of Florida. So I could see the total registered members, the total ballots requested, returned, and total in-person early voted. I also have some visualizations over here that basically tell you the ballots requested versus returned. And then I have modeled party versus requested and returned. And I also have registered party requested versus returned. If you want to look at your specific associations, what you could do is in the select map view, rather than state, you'll hit association. And now we can actually see your specific associations. So when you click on one, you can get a little view of how many ballots are returned per that specific association, and you can click around and see. But if you also wanted to see the visualizations and the numbers here update based on that, what you're going to do is you're going to hit the select associations dropdown. And for example, I'll pick Miami. And now we're just seeing the data specifically for the Miami Association. So this tool is really cool where it allows you to see the early vote data as it comes in, and it allows you to see your specific state, but then also go down to the association level as well. If you also want to see when your state specifically has been updated, we have an option of state updates. So if you click this button, you'll see Florida specifically. And if you go to the national view, you can see all those states listed down below. And that is it for the early vote dashboard. Next, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the membership dashboard. The membership dashboard now also has the early vote data as well. So if I click on filter contacts, I'm going to let that load. Okay, then I'm going to go to voting history. And I see that there's been a new option added, which is 2024 General Early Absentee Voter. I can click for those who have already voted or those who have not yet voted. So if I, for example, did not vote, and I go ahead and search my contacts, that starts the filtering process. I can see it's about 50,000. So then I go to contacts, and I can get those specific people. And if I want, I could download a list, or I can continue filtering down as well to further refine that. I'm going to bring on my colleague, Christine, and she's going to give us a use case example.
Hi, everybody. Christine Berger with Real Strategies. Thanks for joining us today. I just want to talk about when I was in Minnesota, how I did GOTV using the membership dashboard for my members. So if I was doing, for example, if I was doing independent expenditure or supporting a candidate with PAC funds, and let's say I was supporting a Republican in House District 5 and a Democrat in Senate District 6, I would go into my dashboard and I would pull up all my Realtor members that were in House District 5 that were Republicans, like the candidate, and that perhaps needed a little reminding to vote. People who had not perfect voting scores, but less than perfect voting scores. And I would download that list of Republican members in House District 5 that needed a little voting reminder. And then I would do the same thing for Senate District 6. I would say, show me all the Democrats in my membership that belong to Senate District 6 that need a little reminder to vote. And so I would download this list. So then I would combine all the lists, and I could either email these members, I could text these members. I use Real Strategies for that, or digital advertising or robocalls if you're allowed to do it. Those are pretty inexpensive. So if you can download those lists and then remind your members to vote. It's a very generic email. You send even though you're reporting or you're supporting a Republican in one district and a Democrat in another, it's just, hey, Realtor members, just a reminder to go vote. Tomorrow's election day. So it's not like an independent expenditure because you're not identifying a candidate, but it's a very targeted email or text message or phone call to the people that you really want to mobilize from your membership for those candidates you're supporting. If you need help with that, reach out to any one of us and we'll give you a hand.
Thank you, Christine. Next, what I'm going to be showing is our map tool. So let me go ahead and pull that up. You should see our map tool. So this map tool is for your specific state and your specific associations. And what you're able to do is actually get a lot of cool information regarding this. So over here, we see New York and we see their specific associations. And if I click on one, for example, I get a bunch of information. So I'll actually get how much geographical area this association overlaps with their congressional, their state senate, their assembly district, or their specific counties. I can get things like how many are registered, how many are unregistered, and how many voted in the 2018, 2020, or 2022 elections. I could get the number of members, but what's also cool is if I click on this overlaps with button, I get how many members within this specific association are in this congressional district. I can also go ahead and export my member data based on specific groups that I select and download that as an Excel sheet. What else is cool about this map tool is we don't just have the association view. If you click this button over here and then go down to congressional, what's going to happen is we're going to see the congressional view as well, as you can see. So now I'm going to click on Congressional District 23, and I get to see what associations are in Congressional District 23. I also have two buttons here called Profile Report and Gap Analysis. And if I go ahead and click on the Profile Report, I have a gender composition breakdown, a race and ethnicity breakdown, along with an age distribution and voter statistics for this specific congressional district. I can download these reports by clicking on the PDF button for each specific district that I want. And I also have the option to do a gap analysis report. When I click on the gap analysis, what I can see is the Democratic base versus the Republican base, the estimated turnout, and I actually see the voter distribution here as well. If you don't want to click through everything, let's say I want 20 districts, what you can also do is click on the map button itself, and you could select your report type. So for example, if I wanted gap analysis, I get to select my office level. So let's do congressional. And then I get to select my congressional districts. So let's do New York. That will load. And now it's an easy way to just pull up all of those specific reports that you want. The view is also available for the State House and the State Senate as well. And you're able to pull profile reports and gap analysis for all your districts based on those different levels. That is my demonstration for you today. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments on YouTube.
So Elizabeth, thank you so much for running through those dashboards. We do actually have a couple of questions here. The first question, oh, it's popped up. Just so savvy there. Can we drill down to the specific individuals, list of names for who hasn't voted, for all voters as well as members? And maybe, so Elizabeth, in the membership dashboard, obviously that's not possible, but maybe this is an opportunity for you to talk about kind of that we are collecting the early voting ballot return data for all voters in the states, and what frequency are we doing that for the typical state?
Thank you, Justin. So as you mentioned, for the membership dashboard, you are able to see who has voted and who hasn't voted based on that filter that I showed. For voters in general across the state, not specifically members, We are updating that data around 12 p.m. Eastern every single day. And that's being collected via our data partners. And we have sort of a calendar that lets you see when that data is coming in or not. So that frequency is, so your membership dashboard and your early vote data dashboard are being updated at 12 p.m. Eastern every single day. And you can specifically look at those who have or haven't voted via our membership dashboard for your members.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And I'll just mention, for any states out there that are interested in getting down to the, voter level of who hasn't voted yet, to engage in specific independent expenditure races or things like that. We can work with states to collect that data and provide reports. We do just need to plan in advance kind of what that's going to look like, and that. So if you're interested in getting that kind of information on voters more broadly beyond just the members, talk to us and we can figure out a way to do that. We have done that in past election cycles with many of the states out there, and are definitely willing to do that. That's why we're collecting all the early voting data. So we can do that if people would like to. Thank you, Elizabeth. We had another question here for text messages. Does this system send directly out of the system for text messages, or do we need to create a list and then use a different platform to do that?
So in the membership dashboard, you are able to pull those phone numbers yourself and generate those lists, or pull those emails yourself and generate those lists. So we do provide the list itself.
Yeah, so there is not functionality to send an SMS or MMS text directly out of any of these tools yet. That's a great idea. But no, we definitely easily enough can export either an email list or a text list, or pull that, other ways for, voters more broadly, to be able to help with a get out the vote campaign, reminder campaign, if that's something that people are interested in. Let's see, any other questions? I don't believe so. Elizabeth, thank you. We really appreciate your time. I know you're very busy working on these things, and I will just mention, so these various tools reside in the Dash instance, right, in the tools section. And Elizabeth, I know you remind me, because I know I've seen these, but are there tutorial videos or things like that in the Dash instance as well?
There are tutorial videos within the Dash instance as well, but if you have any additional questions or concerns, you're always welcome to email us as well if you want a demo or a tutorial walkthrough like meeting.
Awesome. I know you do those frequently and you're very good at them, so thank you. All right. Well, Elizabeth, we'll let you return to your to-do list there. So thank you for your time. And up next, we've got another member of our Real Strategies family, Coleman Bass. Some of you have maybe worked with Coleman on different projects. He has a marketing and communications background, does a ton of work in that space with digital advocacy and a variety of things. And Coleman's going to talk about a couple of things today. First, he's going to share some get out the vote campaigns that he has been involved with both last year and kind of working on some stuff this year, some insights that he's learned, what's been effective, some ways to track some of that. And then is also going to share, some of you may be familiar that we have just over the past year or so developed our own in-house digital advertising platform at Real Strategies. And that has really enhanced our ability to not only do these digital advertising campaigns, but really add extra levels of reporting and transparency and being able to see who has seen the ads and who didn't, and be able to get reports afterwards to see which voters actually saw the ads. And Coleman's going to get into a lot of those details here over the next little bit. So Coleman, without any further introduction, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Justin. Appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a presentation right now. And yeah, thanks for joining, everyone. Excited to talk about this. This is, again, as Justin mentioned, really looking at how we're leveraging this digital ad platform for GeoTV success. So we'll dive right into it. But first, I did want to introduce myself. So my name's Coleman Bass. I know some of you, but others I don't. I've had about 15 years experience in digital marketing and ad buying. I have a master's degree in strategic communications from American University. I've worked with clients of all sizes across many different industries, local fitness studios to Bank of America, big names, and Unilever. The current role of a senior managing director. I'm an avid tournament tennis player in USTA NorCal division. Little fun fact, and there's me on the tennis court. And then I'm also overseeing NAR's consumer GeoTV campaign, and that's what we'll be talking about today. So just a little bit of background about me. Moving right along, we have our big question that we're looking at with the research that we're doing with digital advertising. And it's, did GeoTV digital ads actually make an impact on voter turnout? Now, remember, we're looking at consumers here, consumer homeowners for NAR. So it's not necessarily the same audience as what other people are looking at, but this is one small snapshot and kind of an example of the why and how and some of the amazing results that we're hoping to see and that we have seen. So in 2022, we set out on to answer that question, and we found the following: that the GeoTV digital ads statistically changed voter behavior for both the likely and unlikely voters. We had two segments that we modeled. Again, likely voters, people who've shown up in the past, and then unlikely people based on our models, kind of, who might not necessarily vote, but who messaging may have an impact on. So we had a control group, we had a test group, and we found that the election turnout doubled for people who were unlikely to vote, which is huge. Those are kind of the real target there, is the unlikely voters. And that went from 2% to 4%. So that's a pretty big gain. I know those are small numbers, but to get that is quite significant if you were to scale out. And then on the likely voters too, we saw a jump from 71% in the control to 81% in the test group. So pretty impressive results. And we were able to do that because we could match back, we can look at the log files, we can use our advertising platform to have those types of analyses. So in 2024, we're going to take a similar approach. We're going to be, again, looking at likely and unlikely voters modeled from the data team. We're focusing on which is get out the vote. It's going to occur over the final 2 to 3 months of the election. We're going to use it, which is right now, and we're going to be using the Real Strategies digital advertising platform, because we need that to be able to match back essentially who we reached. And then once the voter returns come in, to see who was on our list, who made the vote, and then put that research and data together, make a match, and do the analysis. And then by having the test group and the control group, we can actually compare those. So how are we going to do it? We're going to, of course, choose the criteria for likely and unlikely voters. We work closely with data teams. We can figure out that type of segmentation. We're going to remove a portion of each target audience who will not be exposed to the ads. That's the control. We're going to deploy ads with a controlled frequency to each segment, and we can again do that through our advertising platform. On certain channels or on other platforms, you can't necessarily get that granular and know who exactly you reached on what list, nor are you able to see kind of what the returns show to match back. And then we compare the voting percentages between the test and control groups. That's kind of the end. So it's a simple test. But it's very precise, and we're trying to keep everything measured so that we can, get some good results and compare 2022 to 2024 to see if this trend continues. A little bit about the demographics to give some more context on our likely and unlikely voters. Now, remember, these are homeowners, and these are people within specific states that NAR is interested in. So it is not representative of the whole country, but it is interesting to look at. we see that the likely voters are much older, and the unlikely voters are actually much younger in the segmentation that we have. Looking at gender split, male and female, we see that actually on the unlikely voters, it's pretty even compared to the likely voters. Male and female are much closer compared to the likely voters that are predominantly female. And that's, I think, a trend that plays out across the United States. But that's interesting to see within this segment. And then finally here, we're looking at Republican and Democrat. We're seeing a pretty good representation of both in both likely and unlikely voters. The likely voters is pretty much split. And then the unlikely voters has a few less Republicans, a few more Democrats within this specific segment. Again, not necessarily something that plays out nationwide. Taking a look at the creative that we used for this campaign, we really focused on being a voter this year and the fact that homeowners kind of are the fabric of the country. We use these 3D models to create kind of these American homes, different shapes and sizes. And then we have a lot of tools and resources that you can click through to that kind of engages the audience and reminds them that, election day is around the corner. We're also leveraging the hashtag #VoteReady, which is being used by a lot of organizations, and kind of track that through our social listening capabilities to see kind of the engagement we get through that hashtag as well. So I mentioned this kind of throughout the presentation here, but really is, why does the digital advertising platform matter in this use case? And this use case is one of many. There's many other conversion type campaigns that can be done, that we can do match back and analyze kind of the actual ROI of the ads, instead of just saying, oh, we got this many impressions to this general population, not really being able to tell the full funnel story of what's going on. And this really allows us to do that. So again, it allows us to place digital ads on any format, on any website, application, connected device. That, of course, increases our reach. Critically important. A feature I haven't mentioned is the automatic early vote audience exclusions. That's really great for, obviously, political campaigns, and something that we're able to leverage for the GOTV, because once people have already voted, of course, we can save money by not pushing out that advertisement. And it happens in real time. We can retarget ads to the website visitors using Wire. Some folks have those already installed on their sites. Definitely encourage folks to talk to the team about Wire, because it's something that allows us to start to capture audiences that visit your site, and they can be used and activated in audiences. We can also get some information about the people that are visiting your site, much more expansive than what you would see in something like Google Analytics. Ad transparency. So actually who received the ads, that's this post-campaign and matchback reports, and something called ad logs. So an example might be, if I were to run something on Facebook, I may not be able to see which individual person got which ads at what time and that sort of information. I know that the audience received the ads, but not all the detailed kind of receipt data. And that's in the logs, and that's something that we provide. That's something that doesn't really exist in the industry, and that allows us to really see who's being reached on the list that we have. And if they're not being reached, is there another way that we can reach them? Maybe we can export that list and contact them via direct mail or another platform that they'll actually kind of be on. Some folks aren't necessarily playing games or going to certain sites with a lot of inventory of advertising. So it's good to know who those people are as well. And then importantly, we want to be able to garner more impressions and frequency for the budget. This platform eliminates a lot of fees, so that helps with our reach. Again, helps to get our goals, helps to get more impressions, and hopefully show that these digital ads continue to make a difference. Because I think a lot of folks aren't sure sometimes if it's really making an impact, but hopefully this type of research and this type of analysis can start to paint a clearer picture. With that, that is kind of the quick rundown on our GeoTV campaign. If folks have additional questions or offline, if want to talk about more opportunities to do analysis like this for your association or some other specific deadline event, this can be applied in a lot of different scenarios. So with that, I will turn the floor, I think, back to Justin, who may be able to answer, or I'm sorry, feed in any questions that come through, and I'd be happy to answer anything that I can help with.
Thanks, Colin. Appreciate you taking some time to share that with us. I am seeing a question here. So I think a lot of people on a lot of projects where we have used these wire pixel things on websites to collect that information. Talk a little bit more about that. Like what is entailed in that? Is there a significant cost related to that? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so the pixel data, even outside of wanting to do an advertising campaign right away, it's good to have, we encourage associations and organizations to have this pixel installed to start to get information and prepare for a potential ad campaign. So there isn't any cost associated with placing that pixel. And once it's placed, then where I guess we make our money is when the advertising is used and the retargeting audiences are used from that pixel. So it's actually pretty good and recommended to get that on the site as early as possible so you can start collecting that data. And it's a really simple code. I know a lot of folks have probably put on maybe a Facebook pixel. Basically, it's just a little JavaScript and it goes right into the header of the website. The web developers usually have a pretty good idea of how to put that in. Super simple. And then it connects in and we're able to establish the connection and you're off to the races. So we're installing a bunch every week. And we're seeing some good numbers and good information coming through. It also, again, allows you to have that over time data. Sometimes we see that folks will want to install a pixel right before a campaign, but it's helpful sometimes to have more context over a longer period of time, even before a campaign starts.
So you're using those to create a new audience of people that have visited. Correct. To then maybe do a different type of campaign now that we know that these people have some level or whatever.
Yep. I think there's a lot of different use cases, and that's definitely one of a really good one. And also sometimes people want to say, what sort of people are engaging with, this specific site, and can you give us some high level demographic information about them? Because it's something that, for those who are familiar with Google Analytics, kind of attempts to do, but it's very anonymized, and I would say the information is not necessarily that accurate. Ours is actually connected to the individual and provides a lot more clarity onto the actual demographic segments. It's the same type of demographic analysis we use for across all of our products. So it's very robust.
Cool.
Yep.
Let's see, Coleman, I think I don't see any other questions here. So with that, thank you very much for
of course.
your time today.
Yeah, happy to share it. Yep, awesome. For sure. Thank you.
Well, just a couple of things as we wrap up here. So, obviously Coleman mentioned, one of the things that I think is really cool about that tool is the fact that with the early voting data that we are collecting, we can remove voters from these target universes, whether it's digital or any other type of outreach. And, so you're not wasting money there. And in a lot of cases, we have kind of a backup universe of like voters, kind of the next group that maybe didn't make our initial universe due to budget reasons or what have you. And so we can fill up and, populate that universe with additional targets as we have removed people who have already voted. And so that's, I think, is a really, really cool part of that technology that we're excited about. So just wanted to mention here, obviously we're getting down to crunch time. We are still getting requests for last minute independent expenditures. We can still help people if they're interested in digital ads or text messages or live calls at this point. Still time to do those sorts of things. And, if anyone has any needs for that or get out the vote related campaigns, we obviously would love to help anyone here. If as you're seeing early vote data come in, if there's a race that you're feeling like maybe you want to get engaged in at the last minute, we've done that in past cycles and happy to help with that sort of thing again this year as well. Did want to mention just a couple of things. Some members of our team are going to be in Boston for the NAR meetings there. If you are, we may try to do an in-person user group meeting or reception of some sort, kind of looking at Saturday afternoon. I think that's November 9th, sort of in the afternoon, 3 to 6 time frame. For something like that. More information to come there. And then we're looking to do another one of these remote webinar meetings again in December, probably December 12th, which is a Thursday, is the tentative date that we have that scheduled. And at that point, everyone will be past the election. We'll be looking at probably, things that are coming up for upcoming sessions. We may bring back Joe Good and Sarah Stevenson from American Strategies to maybe talk about some of the issues and other things that they're seeing and in the survey research work that they're doing. And we'll all be probably focusing on more the policy side in December at that point, of course. So thank you, everyone, for your time here today. We really do appreciate you spending some time with us. Any questions, email us here. You've got realinfo@realstrategies.com, or maybe some of you know how to get a hold of some of us in other ways as well. So we'd love to hear from you. And good luck these next several weeks with everything that you're all involved in. And again, appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.